got this tea, and I find it really interesting because it's blue. It's called blue butterfly pea, and I also put calendula in there. It's also reactive to citrus. So if you add some lime in here or like orange or something, it changes purple and blue. Makes me happy to drink this color. It's very hot. I'm not quite ready for drinking. So today I would like to talk about resting and how important it is to relax the body, the mind, when you go about your day, and to be aware of when you're needing rest, when you're needing to nourish yourself in this way.
Concept called I and I. It's the one, but it's just ever reflecting. Sort of like what you see 11:11. It's a one, but there's another one, reflecting another one and another one. And that's crazy too because 11:11 equals 22. There's 22 bones in our skull. In a skull, my skull is how you say cross in Ethiopian. My skull. And our crown, our ras, this is our ras. The head is the ras. So we're actually tapping into the gnosis of His Majesty in every single thing that can be expressed. And for some, they will not have the lens of His Majesty on, and that's fine. If you have the lens of love, then you know His Majesty. If you have the lens of love, I do my best to cultivate, doing my best. But through learning love, you're going to learn the ways of Rastafari for sure.
I feel like there is a lot of work to be done every day, and because of that, we often feel like maybe pressure or maybe just accustomed to this constant movement or this constant work modality. I've found it really helped becoming more aware of when my body needs a break. As an example, today I got to a point in my day where I was ready to go to the gym. And although I really wanted to, I made a decision to check in with my body and just feel into myself and see what my needs actually were. Oftentimes you can confuse hunger for thirst or hunger for lack of movement. Even in that sense, it's good to check in with your body to see if you're just really dehydrated before you go and eat like a really heavy meal. That might just add on to your lack of energy. But I checked in with myself and I felt like I really needed some food. I realized that I didn't have any of my gym stuff. So I went home with my food and I just got so tired. I did not want to move. My body was completely in rest and digest mode. Low-key, I just wanted to pass out, to be upright so that your food goes through that digestive process in a sound manner. As tempting as it was to lay down. So what I did was I propped my pillows up and I just kind of like relaxed and went to this meditative state. That very soon turned into a borderline sleep state, but it felt so good. I needed that rest. Had I not checked in with my body, I might have just rushed right to the gym and expended a lot of energy without even realizing how necessary it was for me to just take a little break. So rewind to the night before. I went to bed pretty late and I only got like 4 hours of sleep that night, which would be enough if I am doing deep breath work and consistently doing qigong practices and movement practices and meditations. If you're practicing these kinds of things, you find that your energy levels are higher and your body isn't necessarily needing as much sleep. Or at least that's what I've noticed within myself. But as of lately, I have not been doing as many of those practices, but I am definitely on my way back to more of. Anyways, getting that rest just made such a difference. Becoming aware of when you need rest, learning to take some time to slow down and check in with yourself is vital. Now, how does that relate to depression? If we have a lot of tasks to do, like let's say you have a job, you have extracurricular activities, you have hobbies, you have people that you need to meet up with, meetings, things of that nature, and not taking moments throughout the day to just relax your nervous system, you might overload your body. You might start to overload your mind. It can make you more prone to intrusive thoughts, more prone to overactivity and overstimulation. When I think of depression, I think of being overstimulated in crowds. I feel like anxiety, or I feel a lack of energy. I think tired, fatigued. That makes so much sense to me. Yeah, if we're just moving so quickly, we're not taking the time to notice what our needs are, then we're going to experience symptoms of depression over an extended period of time, or even just in a shorter period of time. Like, that's going to catch up with you. I encourage everyone to check in with your body before you go into the next thing. Let's say you have a period where you're moving from point A to point B. In that in between, just take note of where you're at and what your needs are in your body. Take a moment, whether you're sitting in your car or you just walked out of somebody's house, instead of just going for the next move without even knowing how you're feeling, take a seat somewhere and find a moment to tap into your breath. Tune in to the in-breath and the out-breath, maybe like 3 times. And sometimes I'll even question myself. I'll be like, what do you need right now? Like, I'll talk to myself. I'll say, Jocelyn, what do you need? What is it that you're wanting right now? And then I'll answer myself and I'll be like, I need. Once I check in with myself, I check in with my needs, I can usually get a pretty clear answer, but that's not to say that everyone is going to be able to get that clear answer. We are all very different in different places, and for that reason, this might be a little bit more challenging for you. This might be something you never even thought to try out before. Maybe your lifestyle requires that you move really fast, or that you are constantly on the go. So you have done other kinds of things to check in with yourself. So this is just one way for you to assess yourself, to see if you are in need of something. Hi. Maybe your mind wants to say, no, there's absolutely no way that you could go and stop your day to rest right now. Or perhaps you really can't and you just got to keep going. That's fine. You can take 2 minutes of your time to just ease your mind. You can take 5 minutes of your time to just relax. If you really think about it, how many moments of idle time do you spend doing things that aren't necessarily resting your mind or your body? So you can replace, doom scrolling, or you could replace conversations with people with a moment of rest. And you can make that decision for yourself. In making that decision, you're actually going to be giving yourself the space that you need. Ask yourself, what other ways am I able to rest despite what I'm doing? You don't always have to be completely still, like laying in bed, as a form of rest. You can be working and resting at the same time. Let's say you're working and your mind is full of worries, or extending your energy in a space where it doesn't necessarily need to be extended. That is a good opportunity to practice presence, and to practice your mindfulness, and to practice where you direct your energy while you're working, despite the fact that you're working. And that can be also a form of rest for you. it might be very challenging for you to start questioning these things and start to implement a restful state or a restful lifestyle, especially with the fast-paced society that we live in. It's very chaotic. And so our environment is going to affect us. That's why I feel it has been very helpful for me to start truly doing this. I'm going to share with you guys a story. I received an amazing opportunity to live a completely different lifestyle and to live in a place where I was able to be in a more rested environment than what I was used to. It took a while for me to adjust to that. I was constantly worried that if I wasn't working as hard as I usually did, that something would go wrong or that I was doing something wrong. I felt guilty for taking the space that I was allowed to take for myself. I realized how tense I was in my body, how tense I was in my mind mostly. Movements that release tension from the body, also in the mind. But despite those practices, I really started to open those doors and see, wow, I do have still much tension in the way that I'm thinking. And I started to really notice how much those old patterns of belief were so heavily imprinted within me that it was super challenging for me to be in a new environment that allowed for a slower pace. It was a gift to be able to start to train my body out of that, to move my energy in a different direction, to move my energy in such a way where, yeah, I was taking more time for myself and I was intertwining my work with my rest. I was intertwining my work with my play, and it became a lot easier. I'm still working on it, you know. It can be challenging to break those patterns, but it's also very liberating to ease your mind a bit and realize, although we have obligations, although we have responsibilities, there doesn't need to be this looming energy of, if you don't do this, you're going to be reprimanded. If you don't move out of this energy of working all the time, then you're going to be in big trouble, you know? I feel like that's how it feels sometimes. We'll be in big trouble if we don't keep going, right? Like, where does that feeling come from? If we aren't listening to our body, if we aren't aware of how beneficial it can be to carve out that time to rest, in the long run, we might start to be more prone to these depressive symptoms. Anxiety, fatigue, overwhelming feelings, overstimulation might feed into that state of being. Honestly, I feel like it will feed into that state of being. Or it might feed into this overindulgence and then this guilt. Let's say you spent a week overworking your body, your mind, and not taking those moments to check in and to rest. Maybe by the end of the week, when you do have free time to yourself to have fun or tap into some of your creative endeavors or to connect with family and friends, you might just not have the energy for that. And you might spend an entire day or 2 or 3 completely passed out. It might end up feeling kind of like, man, I had all that time to have fun or to just be in that state of free flow, like carefree feeling, and I spent it all day in bed. Or that might even manifest on a day-to-day where you aren't getting enough rest, so you're not getting enough time to separate your work from your play, or an inability to kind of make those two flow well with one another, if that makes sense. Getting your rest can look like, before you go to that next thing, even though it feels like you have to be there at this time, go make yourself a cup of tea and just vibe out with your tea for like 10 minutes. Focus on something that you're grateful for while you sip that tea. I actually didn't add sisters to this, but it still kind of looks purple, but it gets even more purple. One way that I like to take a break is I will use a tuning fork. So tuning forks are all tuned to like different frequencies that serve different purposes. And sometimes before I move on to the next task or before I go and meet up with people. I will just take some time to feel the frequency of the tuning fork on different parts of my body. And I let it breathe, and I feel like it's very centering. It's a very nice practice. These vibrations affect your physical being, your body. The vibrations within your body attune to vibrations within the tuning fork. So if you have tuning forks, or if you're interested in tuning fork, it feels so good. So my friend informed me that my comments were off, and I'm always like, comment on the video, but all my comments are off. So I'm gonna turn my comments on this time. If you like this video, hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to watch more videos like this. Feel free to comment if you have any suggestions of like what you'd like me to talk about at another time, or just whatever's on your heart. You can hit the bell notification so that you're aware of when I post a new video. I'm going to continue posting pretty often, so you can keep an eye out for that.